Well, Mr. Joe Spencer, just the guy I was thinking might be hanging around down there.
Hi, hi, hi. Drummond,
Hi.
good to see you.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
that's
looking a
pretty
bit hot and
good.
bothered today. Sorry about that.
You're looking hot and bothered. What are you? I know you look fine.
No,
Are you?
I'm looking hot and bothered. It's going to be 42 degrees here today, so it's going to be one of those days. And I'm
Whoa.
not talking Fahrenheit, so I don't know what that
No.
is. Probably north of 100.
I was gonna say, I think you're just about crossing 100 there.
How are
That's
you? How are
that's
you?
seriously
So good
warm.
to see you.
Yeah, well, it's not like this is a picture from when Daryl and I were in Zurich a year ago in December, but
Oh,
no,
that's good.
in Seattle it is well, it's not another atmospheric river, but we might as well just put us tap us into atmospheric rivers all winter long. It's just been a lot of rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so not that
Cool,
I'm
cool,
particularly
cool.
minding.
Well,
Mr.
it's the way it is. That's the way it is. And the Seahawks are going okay, so that's okay.
The Seahawks are actually like we're like, is this really happening? No one was expecting this year. So yeah.
Well, yeah, my son's just about to move back to San Francisco or to Palo Alto. So he's got into the football and enjoying watching it, and was horrified by the game at the weekend, but well, recently, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
okay. It's allowed. It's allowed. All good. John is going to join us, so I don't know. It'd be great.
John
It'd be great to catch up. But
John
John
has
should be
joined
joining
us.
us.
I
Ah,
have.
John
I'm
has
here.
joined us.
John
Oh,
has
God, there
joined
he
us.
is. Sorry,
Just
Indeed.
been
I'm
very
on. I'm
quiet, Joe.
on
I know it's not. I
and
know it's not my
hold.
usual style. But yeah,
No, no, it's all good, John. All good. Good to see you, buddy.
Excellent.
and you guys.
Excellent.
We
How
haven't
are you
seen each
doing,
other
John?
recently.
I'm good. I'm good. It's a busy morning in Shea, Elaroo, where I live. My son and his wife and our granddaughter, their child is here. They've gone off to get a car that they're getting through a lease plan thing. So we've got the granddaughter in the house. My sister is here from the
Nice.
UK. So yeah, lots of
Wow.
stuff happening.
So this is still holiday visits going on?
The whole of January is like the whole of August for Europe in Australia. So the
Ah,
holidays just kind of keep coming. The last of them is the rather
For some of
controversial
you.
Australia Day on the 26th of January. And
I
then after
see.
that, it kind of peters out and we're
Okay.
back to
And we're
work.
back on.
Most Australians think of like the beginning of February as the kind of beginning of the year from a work point of view.
Oh, I did not know this. I
There you go.
literally, I don't spend enough time down under to
You
have
need to
that.
come, Drummond. You are coming, though, aren't you?
Well, there is a distinct chance, is the
Wasn't there a? Did I
is
see something?
there, well, so there's an event. I actually have it open in a window over here. Uh, March 25th and 26th is something called the Impact Investment Summit in Sydney. Have you ever heard of that event?
I
Well, I think so.
have.
There are
I have, yes.
a few kind of those events. That I
I,
guess
I
you're
used to
interested.
work for I used to work for an investment part of a bank, and they used to do various different things at that. So yes,
Interesting, interesting. Well,
but
it's
it's BC sort of type of thing.
yeah, I think it is
CVC.
largely philanthropic folks and various folks. I learned about it through um, the guy that puts it on, Kerry. I can't remember his last name. Um, anyway, there's some actual family relation with a guy named Michael Casey, who was formerly the chief content officer for CoinDesk, and they put on the Consensus conference for the blockchain industry. And
Mm.
now they're starting a new uh, company called H2H, or human to human.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Oh, cool.
and let me pull up. We
Ah,
did
yes,
talk.
that's right. I did see the link on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put this in. It's already in the minutes of the meeting. We had pretty good attendance for an early meeting here today of the Technical Stack Working Group. Anyway, I'll show this page just to that's the link to it. So this just got solidified over the break that there's going to be this one-day event in Napa, hosted the same place as the Linux Foundation Member Summit, which is the following 2 days, the 24th and 25th. But Michael Casey and his partner Foster Wright, they're the ones that drove Consensus up to the largest conference in the blockchain space, and now they want to do that for the I'm calling the digital sovereignty space. So it's everything first person, decentralized AI. Um, um, you know, Basically, the theme of the whole thing is how do we actually maintain human control in the age of AI? And so you can see the blurb here. So
Cool.
this page just went live. LFDT is going to be a partner, and Affinity, the folks you guys know, I think you know the Affinity folks,
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
first confirmed sponsor.
Cool.
They're after other
Good.
sponsors now. So that's going to be the that, and then the LF member summit. The following 2 days are our first big milestone we're
Yeah.
aiming at
I
this
keep
year.
scanning the page blurb. It looks really exciting, Drummond. And I keep scanning the text as you're talking, and I'm listening. And there's a sentence or a word I keep tripping over, right? And the word I
Go
keep
for it.
tripping over is that in showcasing a breakthrough privacy preserving non-biometric form of verifiable credential that solves this problem. I find the idea that it solves this problem ambitious. It
Yes,
goes towards solving the problem. It's a good thing, but like far out. If that if this is the universal solution to the problem, um, it's like a yeah. Anyway, bold,
there,
Bold. It's
there's
and
the
it needs to be
moonshot.
bold. I mean, you have to be bold for Christ's sake.
the marketing.
There's no point in being
Yes,
mealy mouthed about the potential because
What we're trying
it's
to do.
real.
Yeah.
It sort of gets solved if people adopt it.
yes,
Is that as with all great tech, it only works when people use it.
absolutely, absolutely. I
PGP would have been
100%.
a good thing, but we never really used it, for example.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that.
It's good though. Good.
No,
But
seriously.
so
They're
Drummond, you're getting a lot of support and buy-in into the FPP and so forth.
well, we are
This
trying
whole
to.
area.
So, I know this is let me just check.
Oh,
Uh,
it's the wrong meeting.
no,
Trying to,
well,
are
it's
we being surveilled? I don't know.
yeah, it's
Recorded.
we are being recorded.
Recorded.
And it's
Uh,
there's nothing particular, but we
it's
should probably
adjacent. It's
yeah,
adjacent,
it
Joe.
is. Well, it's totally adjacent.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, and there's no problem with that. But I tell you what, maybe let's do the same thing since it looks like the three of us are the meeting. Let me quickly cover for the recording. Okay, what do we you may have
Yeah,
already looked at the notes, but let's just cover that and then we can switch over
cool.
Have a
to
look to the
a
notes.
private
Sorry.
line
Yeah.
and get caught up on other things. Let me okay, I'm sharing this screen right now, but let me switch and share my as I said, we had quite a good meeting this morning and it was
My
here.
The camera I use, Joe, is too sharp sometimes. I realize I need a shave.
So do I.
You have a really good camera. Yes.
Yeah, but it's sometimes it's good for vanity and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
cycled in this morning, John, and I tell you what, I'm still catching up.
Wait till you cycle
Exactly.
home, mate. Wait till you cycle
I know.
home.
At least I can put myself under a shower or something.
40
Precisely.
degrees at least when you cycle home.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, for the recording, we are holding the APAC meeting of the Technology Stack Working Group plenary that we have been holding monthly. And as you'll see, the consensus of the folks that met this morning was that And I'll hit the main high points. You can see who attended this morning. Um,
Oh, cool.
we did, in terms of announcements, we talked about that.
Yep.
Riza Rasul talked about there's uh, this one, the Quai Summit, or the Quai helps manage the AI programming for a summit event. It's a Linux Foundation summit event. He just labeled it as the Quai Summit. Anyway, you can follow the links. They're all on the meeting page here in the chat. And so we just mentioned that one. And then it came up that were you aware, John, that Scott Perry inside the COG, the Creator Assertions Working Group, it's a joint diff trust IP thing, that Scott Perry has created a trust registry task force there.
I don't think I was. He might have said to me, but I'm pleased you've reminded me. Put it that way.
Yeah,
And I'll look it up.
it's going to meet. It's just a new task force. First meeting was yesterday. They're going to the COG meets every other Monday, and then the intervening weeks they have task forces, and they had something called the Media Identifier Task Force for different folks working on media registries or identifiers that work in for like music and film and television and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that pretty much completed its cycle. And now Scott says, okay, let's really talk about trust registries. So I just thought
I'm
it's
interested. You're right.
early. Yeah. And he mentioned, the various trust registry work that we have going on in the space. And of course, what you're doing with the UN. It's still called the Global Trust Registry Task
The
Force, right?
project is called the project is the Global Trust Registry project.
Right.
What we're creating is proposing is a GRID, Global Registrar Information Directory.
That's right.
And that's chosen for both technical and political correctness. That we don't want to be seen to be claiming to have all of the world's trust in some registry in some bizarre way. So we've been careful with our words for the thing we're creating. But yeah, the project is still called GTR, Global Trust
Yeah.
Registry.
Yeah, I thought so. I knew that grid, and I totally agree with that choice. Um, so quickly, it's interesting. I finally cleaned up uh, our task force list because AI and human trust is now a separate working group, and decentralized trust graph is a separate working group. So really, and then we discussed at the end high assurance vids, that work once Alex Tweetdale got distracted on other things, which I now understand simply that his position has changed within the industry, and I don't know where he's landed. And I've reached out to him on Signal and don't have any answers. So, well, we got to that at the end. But of the other task forces that remaining ones we have, technology architecture has been asynchronous because it's just been hanging on for us to finish the technical architecture spec, which we're now saying, okay, well, we've got to rewrite the introduction of trust IP, which Carly Heitema and I have agreed we would do. I was supposed to have something ready by Thursday. I don't think I'll have something ready. I think I'll have an outline ready to talk about at the Thursday ecosystem again. But we looked at, just so we looked at the original document, and we were like, well, can we just update things? And it was like, no, it's just so far out of date. And
Oh, I see.
so, it's just 5 years have passed literally now. We produced that about a year from when we started, and we're going to hit our 6-year anniversary in May. And so our conclusion finally was, I was like, we just need to rewrite it and do a new introduction to trust RP. And I said, I'll take the ball to at least get a proposed structure, probably something significantly shorter, since we have a bunch of other documentation now. And my main thing in thinking about it, preparing for it, I haven't done the outline yet, is to use your explanation of the full model that, for the third generation. It's just they're so, and basically annotated, and we've already done a couple documents that do that. I was actually going to stop and ask you, have you done a document that annotates that in a written form, not just a video?
No, I don't think so. I think they've stayed in Google Slides, but it wouldn't be too hard
Mm.
to export that out to a document format because the way the slide structure I use works is sort of text plus diagram, text plus diagram, text plus diagram
Right.
kind of
All right.
thing.
And that's exactly what you see for an introductory document, and you want it to be highly readable. I literally feel like the easiest way to do that with some, framing text is, call it annotated set of your slides.
I have to say over the last few weeks, really, over Christmas, New Year, and a bit before, I've been diving deeper and deeper into AI, as Joe knows, and AI tools.
I
And
knew we were going
my
there.
instinctive reaction, if you were to challenge me within 24 hours, can you come up with this thing? I'd pump this into we use Google as our
Yeah.
mostly our business engine. So
Yes.
we've got Gemini Pro 3 and whatever available to us and some other things. And we'd challenge it with the task. We'd give it, okay, here's the current version of the Trust over IP architectural document. Here's some work we've done on explain the trust over IP architecture, and you can point to the Google slide. What we want to do is to create this new version that's up to date, that takes account of, and then even give it external references to other works that you want it to acknowledge or to lean on, and then say, what would you suggest as how this content might be produced? And then you could even say, produce me a podcast of it, produce me a video of it, produce me this, produce it for this audience, for regulators, produce it for software engineers, produce it for privacy experts, and it will just give you 5, 6 iterations with different audiences and so on. And whilst it may not be the finished product, it would get you a lot of a progress in
All
terms
right.
of how it might work. Um,
Wow. That is
I've rebuilt. Well, Joe knows what I've been doing over the last few weeks. I've built a lot of stuff recently using these tools, and it's impressive. They no longer hallucinate with anything like the. Well, actually, they don't seem to hallucinate at all anymore, really. But let's say
really,
that they might. Yeah, they.
that's significant that you're not running into any hallucination problems. That's okay.
Well,
Uh,
So,
there's ways of bounding them to
yeah,
certain
yeah.
content
There's ways to
these
control. So
days.
the
So I
two
mean,
tools. Yeah, Joe's right. There's
mm,
the two tools Joe and I use are Notebook LM, which is it's
yes.
basically
Yeah.
a RAG type approach, where you give it the resources you want it to base its reasoning on. And the other is the more open sort of Gemini kind of approach. But both are very, very, very powerful.
So let me leave this topic at that right now, and let's cycle back to it on our offline
I,
call.
I yeah, and I tell you
yep.
what, that just to finish that last point, Drummond,
Sure.
the thing you would need, the unique your experience or our experience catalyst for that AI type work is
Yeah.
what is the prompt? What's the ask we would make of AI?
Mm.
How would we write our ambition for the new version of the architecture? So you've done all the words a little in the
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah, this is over 6 years old. It's been sometimes we did it. We've done this other work since then. There's been these other initiatives. We want to combine those into a new version of the architecture, and that's
I think
actually
that's really important. Mm.
that's the scope of work for either you to do
Yes.
that yourself, put manually,
Yes.
or to ask AI to do it.
Yeah,
Ah,
I think the thing is now you've got all the different initiatives which have sort of obviously um, been kicked off since the architecture document was in there. I mean, we do need to start applying those back into it, and
Yep.
so don't be scared of giving them even sort of the links, the Linux Foundation links, and so
Yeah.
forth of
Yeah.
various different things you think need to be included.
yep.
I mean, it may end up with things which are emphasized over emphasized potentially, but you'd be surprised that you will be
The
surprised
weaknesses
how good
the
it is.
weaknesses I still
Yeah,
see are
Yep.
enthusiasm.
yeah,
Everything is
yeah,
Yep.
awesome a little, which is just
Yep.
the way
Yep.
they've decided to bias these models. And the other
Yeah.
weakness is it believes what it reads on the internet. So it doesn't have any genuine reasoning, okay? So but if you've pointed it to the authoritative specifications of protocols and the authoritative
Yes.
representation of the architecture of a trust over OP and so on, so in other words, trustworthy sources, it will use those sources and their
predominantly.
vocabulary and their kind of passion statements to come up with a revised version. It won't artificially inject emotion
Something else.
into its
Yeah.
response.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That's a really good point. I'm super glad we had this conversation because it changes the approach I was thinking of
You
taking
you
to
could- you
that.
might you might
Give
throw
it a
away
go.
what it
I mean, it's
produces,
really not
but
easy.
you
Yeah,
you you would maybe benefit from it, I think is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's okay. Again, super interesting.
Cool.
We'll revisit it in our
and it's the other
offline
thing,
call.
Drum. The thing that I've learned from obviously listening to John and doing it myself is that that it's a conversation. It's not a one-off sort of type of thing. If it doesn't
Yes.
provide what you want, make sure that you add into that discussion with it what how you think it needs to be changed. So that's interesting. But if it starts going wrong and you really think it needs to uh, it's difficult to get it back on track, I would
Yeah,
say.
then
If it
Yeah.
my
starts going
tactic
wrong,
is to stop it, start a new
stop,
instance
dump,
with a fresh
and start
page,
again. Yeah,
and
but with
start
a better
with a fresh
prompt.
prompt.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
if it goes down rabbit
It's
holes, it's hard to
really
pull it back.
hard to get it back. Yeah, yeah.
I have a little bit. The only only really experience I have is I did attend a workshop in that was sponsored by the Advanced AI Society with one of their members, Definity, in Malmö, Sweden, which was to use Definity's tool called Caffeine. Have you ever heard about it?
I'm
It's
sure it's great.
they position it as
I've got some right now.
there's regular coding, there's vibe coding, but caffeine is I think they call it self-writing software. And I'm like, what? So what
Oh,
they're trying to take it to the next step, which is you give it all the prompts and everything, but it builds a full software project. It actually writes
Yep.
a
mm,
specification and then it writes the code, then it writes tests for the code. And if everything works out, they will actually then deploy it to the Definity internet computer. Um,
that's
Oh,
it's brilliant. There's all
yes.
we,
sorts of options. We use it. Actually, we're using it inside the bank now. Something called Cursor, similar sort of thing,
Cursor,
but
yes, I've heard
yeah,
of
Cursor,
Cursor.
same. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. So give it a crack,
I
and
will. I will. I had the
I'm
exact same
sure.
experience because I was not actually I was just there to meet with the person putting on the workshop, but they invited me to come. It was only a 3 hour workshop. And so I just came up with a product. I said, I'm gonna I said, oh, I'll try it. And the thing I decided to try was create me an example TRQP compliant trust registry. And
Wow.
it did a pretty amazing job in the first step. And then, like you said, correcting the errors when it started to go down was I must have built a project a dozen times to say, well, no, fix this. Oh no, but then fix this. So anyway, very similar experience.
Yep. Yep.
Speaking of trust registries, so then I think you both know TRQ. The main thing from Trust Registry Task Force, TRQ spec is got another week or 10 days of public review. And then it will be a theme sort of emerged that with this set of task forces, everything you see here, except for the high assurance vids, although I'll get to that in the end, um, may get to the point where we're really ready for approving them at the working draft approved level by the end of Q1. We just sort of toss that out. There's no reason that potentially could go quicker because we don't know how much. We haven't gotten any feedback through the public review yet, but it was over the holidays. We'll see what happens this month. The same thing, Trust Banning Protocol Task Force now asynchronous as well. And Wenjing was not able to attend, but that's getting pretty mature. So I think it's mostly a matter of us just saying, okay, are we ready to get it out there as a real 1.0? And
Are there implementations of the trust planning protocol that are sort of testing it out,
there
Drummond?
are
Or
there are currently two. There's the carry suite, well, it's not the carry suite working group. It's whatever I think it's called the Web of Trust implementation
oh yeah,
that they're maintaining. And then the one Wenjing put together, that's the TSP project at the Open Wallet Foundation. And that
Right.
I've seen examples from that. He's given examples. I've also seen his talk at a couple conferences, and it's a real thing there. I don't know if it's being used in production yet, but I know that that's certainly his, Wenjing's plan for it, between FutureWay and their partners. So that would be a great conversation. Again, Wenjing wasn't able to come, so I'm going to circle around with him. I need to talk to him probably later this week to sort of see. The only things that really are not in that spec is completing the, sort of the rest of the security privacy consideration section and make sure all the references and everything are up to date. But it would be very helpful for as we with all these specs for us in the boilerplate and intro stuff to be able to reference current documents like the Introduction to Trust OP and the Technology Architecture spec. So that's why, as a group, it makes sense for them to come out together. All that applies to the did skid spec as well. There's been I shared with everyone the thing I thought was fascinating. DIF has the did methods working group, which is just to apply a process to did methods that want to apply to say we want to be considered for what they call diff recommendation, become a diff recommended did method. And then also to then that's sort of a filter for the proposed next W3C working group that would start to standardize a handful of did methods. And so far, through that process, which is quite rigorous, I don't know, have you attended any of those meetings? You're aware of that working group at all?
Not
It's
recently.
yeah, I don't think they have an APAC friendly time. I think it's Thursdays. I can't remember. It's Wednesday or Thursday. In any case, all the did methods that have gone through their process so far are SCID methods. They're all self-certifying identifiers. Did WebS, did WebVH. They're doing another one that for the pharmaceutical industry. It's called Did Web Plus. And then even though it hasn't been submitted there yet, you might have seen the dialogue about the new one that Digital Bazaar has proposed now to the W3C CCG, which is take their work on a cryptographic event log and turn that, and basically it's their twist on how to handle a self-certifying SCID-based DID method. Is just standardize the history portion using the work they've done on cryptographic event log. So they have proposed DID CEL, CL, and it's another. So just between us, this is it might be a bunch of evidence why it made sense to put this. Did skid is really a meta method that just standardizes the format of the self-certified identifier plus the location and makes it that a parameter. I do know that the WebVH folks are actively looking at basically making that in the next version of WebVH an option. And so they're sort of torn between, well, we could just use did skid, or we could formally say that's an option with WebVH is to make the location, break off location parameter, make it optional. So anyway, we haven't, go ahead.
Remind me, Drummond, it's this stupid question, sorry. Self-serving identifier, SID. Why is it SCID?
Self-certifying identifier.
Certifying. Oh, certifying. Sorry, I'm mishearing.
I didn't
Certifying,
even.
of course.
I just used the
Makes sense.
acronym and didn't even. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Sam Smith was the one who originally. I mean he was the one who sort of planted that name out there.
This concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
There is one thing that since probably we last talked, Affinity, specifically Glenn Gore, literally working on the Linux kernel maintainer verification project that we want to be able to show, working at those meetings at the end of February. He was using did-web-vh for everything. They've really optimized, made it very optimized and scalable, but that requires that the did document and the verifiable history always go on a web server. And as he was implementing, he was saying, yeah, but we don't need to do that for everything. And for privacy purposes, you want directly exchanged verifiable relationship credentials. You don't need that. And he sort of ran into that and said, whoa, what do we do about this? And it was literally a signal message with me and another person, Jeff Turk, that's working on that project. And it was a perfect opportunity for me to just say in Signal, oh, yeah, Glenn, that's why we created DidSkid. And with DidSkid, you can just use WebVH on a peer-to-peer basis because the verifiable history is just something that the two peers need to share. And he was like, oh, where's the spec? One link. 24 hours later, done.
Done.
He just implemented it. And apparently that, he took existing WebVH code that they had and made it DidSkid compatible and caused a bunch of other problems for them. But he was like, no, makes sense. Let's just do it. So that's why we have a second implementation now. It really is if you have an implementation of any of those did methods, making it DidSkid compatible is
It's
pretty
good
easy.
compliant.
Yeah, it really is just parsing, and then the resolver will use, unless you decide to create separate code, it just uses the code that you already use in the other method for the verifiable history processing. So anyway, that was the update on that one. And the last one, high assurance vids, as I said, this has been essentially dormant because of the absence of Alex Tweedale, which no one still knows where or where he's going to end up.
I spoke with him towards the end of December. I mean, he's obviously based in Africa right now, but he
Yes.
was collaborating on the UN projects we're working on. He was presenting a kind of checked approach to registries and stuff. But that was the last time I interacted with him. We do know Joe and I both know, as you appear to know as well, that checked are restructuring, doing a bunch of things.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the outcome of that has been for Alex.
And none of us are. So, but interesting enough, we then talked about it because we had others like Scott Perry. Eric Scouten was not on the call, but Scott, co-chairs COG now with Eric, and he said, well, we still potentially have a use for it there with some of the trust registry work. Because if anything you want to have high assurance vids for, it's trust registries. I mean, there are many other things you might want, but trust registries especially, you really want to be able to make that as bomb proof as you can be. So anyway, Scott took this action item to check with Eric about whether there was interest in them pursuing the spec. And I'm flagging it if there's anyone
We
else interested.
we're Joe and I have when working the guy that's leading the UNTP work, the United Nations Transparency Protocol work, Steve Capel,
Yes.
had before we really became very actively involved, picked up on the did web method in particular. We then encouraged him to think in more general terms than just did web, and we've encouraged him he's a fan now, did web VH.
Yes.
I think it wouldn't be too hard then to move them on to did skid as a
Yeah.
generalization of that thinking, and hopefully kind of make it more robust.
Specifics
We've
under that. Yeah.
yeah we've just this morning, my morning earlier, I was working on a challenge given to me by my Spanish registrar co-lead for GTR project.
Yes. That I
There
met
is a
in Geneva.
yeah, and she's worried because Spain is leading the We Build consortium, which is a
Yep.
European consortium of many countries looking at using the European identity EIDAS, and particularly the business wallet
Yep.
from EIDAS. And she's running into headwinds from other country representatives, even some Spanish ones, about, well, how does GTR grid fit with the EU's We Build and impact, and also with VLI and Glyph. So I just did a bit of deep research this morning on those things. One of the things that's picked up is the use of keys and architectures of cryptography.
Ah.
And it's highlighting the as we all know, the VLI and Glyph using the Kerry stack. And I
Yep.
didn't give it that prompt, by the way, found that out. And the EIDAS we build basically based on an X509 certificate kind of construct, and that's not being what we're doing with GTR. So there's some interesting trust registry, fundamental
Mm.
cryptography kind of decisions to be made. That we'll be running into those headwinds, Joe. I think in the next few weeks and months with the other
I'm not
countries.
surprised. But I think that the interesting thing is obviously if there's a diff Kerry working group or whatever, it would be an interesting challenge to sort of flag at that and see,
Well, what
well, how, because it's not going to be just the work that's happening on GTR that's going to be running into that. If they're going to
Well,
be
what's
wanting
interesting,
to
Joe,
use
is that
force.
the so this research I asked it to consider a number of factors and do the deep research, the usual stuff, right? It's come up with the idea that Glyph are aggressively lobbying the EU to use the VLI construct. It actually used the word aggressively. I didn't give it that word.
Wow, really? That's interesting. I, from what I know, and I'm not that close to it, I think that's accurate.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm surprised though at the emotive choice.
I'm very surprised. What I think is fascinating is that it does, um, like it's always been. I think we all know the Glei's commitment to Kerry that's helped it get this far. Now there's the interest in the SETI,
Push.
State Endorsed Digital
Mm.
Identity Initiative here in the United States, and led by Utah. That's also got a lot of Kerry influence. So I think
But
well, no, I don't know if
this is for the business wallet only, is it, John?
Yeah, that's where
that's
the
the main.
WeBuild consortium is heading, Joe. Yes,
Yeah.
Is it? Uh,
Okay.
did I
but
spell it right? Is it lowercase or uppercase B, or is it two words?
we build is all capitals, WE
Oh,
in capitals, space build in capitals. I'll give you a link.
oh, perfect.
I could even share my research on it. It's going to be open slather. I'm not going to hide this. Let me get the WeBuild link.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the project, but not with any of its specifics. I just know it's one of the sort of second generation. I think if you know about when I was at Gen, Andy Tobin was helping to lead the.
Is it a large scale pilot or is it the
It's
sort of
a
type of thing that
I
can
believe it's one of the second generation large scale pilots.
It's one of the four,
mm,
yeah. It's not the one Andy was running, but
no.
it's another one of them.
Yeah,
It's
okay, that's it. Right. And it's more focused on the business wallet, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which is and therefore it runs into overlaps with what Glyph do with VLIs and the recognition
Yeah.
of authority of officers of a company. Um, so um, this is the consortium update. So I'll just put this to the chat. This is the announcement of the thing, and
Excellent. There we go.
well, I guess an observation. I'm still maturing in my thinking. I've started this. It's like 6:30 my time this morning, but so I'm still early days on my thinking about this.
Sure.
That's the actual web consortium page. What's fascinating about that initiative is it's your and I know as an American or a Canadian, others will say that's not surprising. Europe is focusing on Europe, right?
Yep. Yep.
The ideas and the approaches being proposed in WeBuild are all Eurocentric. And I'm thinking, you're in the global economy, guys. There is no point in having
Mm,
trust lists that only list European companies. Where are they going to get
true.
their stuff from? Right? It's a really odd frame to put around the work.
Yes.
You've got to think globally. I can't understand how you're thinking so regionally. It just doesn't make sense. Yes, you look after your EU citizens, that's fine and perfectly expected. And in fact, it's your responsibility to do so. But in global commerce, it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Um,
You'd expect there to be the extension capability, that
oh,
needs
I
to be able
reckon.
to support broader.
A recognition, you're right, Joe, but a sort of recognition of the fundamental requirement.
Mm,
If you're receiving timber from Indonesia, they're not going to have a European wallet. If you're
No,
receiving iron ore from Australia, it's not going to come with a European wallet. So how are you
no.
doing this?
Oh, it's need to be global. I 100% agree with you, which is why I think I mentioned on a earlier call that we had about the Syros project. Did, did I bring that up? Syros is
No.
the SIROS. I'll put the link in here.
Is this the Swiss ID?
No, no, this is I didn't learn about
EID.
this until IW last October. It is a new Swedish foundation. It was actually started in February, funded by Stina Ehrensvard, who was the founder of Yubico, and was the CEO until she stepped down, I guess, a year or so ago after they went public. And she funded this Swedish foundation to become the basically the foundation behind uh, Dub Wallet. Now I call it Dub, others call it WW Wallet, but it's a open source Linux of wallets project. And I think do I have see if I have a
It's
link
I mean,
here.
it's a secure, open, and portable digital identity for everyone. Is
So
it's
you already found it. You're on it.
Well, I
Yes.
clicked your link. It
Oh, that
doesn't take
link.
me long.
Okay. No, well, yeah, Cirrus, they of course have a link directly there. But so that and the things that distinguish that project is because there's so many, Stina led the work to get the major, platforms to adopt passkeys, and the like 10-year journey at Fido.
Yeah.
Um, she really felt, and the founders of Cirrus felt there should be a really strong passkey, based wallet. I don't call it passkey based; it's maybe too strong, but just takes full advantage of passkeys. And they're starting with a web wallet. Um, so Dub Wallet actually has two meanings. It is a web wallet, but it's also the worldwide wallet. And so what they explained, what got all our attention at IW was they said we're going to design it to meet the EUDI requirements. And they said there that 6 member states have already said they will certify the Dub wallet. So it will be their certified wallet, and thereafter others. Um, oh, there you go. Yeah, and so that it will meet those requirements, but exactly what you said, John, it will, they said, and it's global, right? We want it to work everywhere else. It's not EU specific. It will meet those requirements, but the global. And the thing that got my attention, besides that, was for that reason they said, and it must support ZKP. And there were several people who came up to me at IW the first day. I was like, "Have you heard about this? It just seems like something that should be very compatible with first person project." So I sought them out, went to part of their session, and then had several meetings with them. And so they're, do you know, or have you met Leif Johansson, who was,
No.
he's been part of Swedish SUNet. I don't know how they pronounce that. I think it's just an acronym, but I think it's a Swedish. I don't know if it's a registry ISP, exactly what it is, but it's one of the largest in Sweden. He's been there for a long time, but he, as of this week, is now the executive director of Syros. Syros. I don't know I keep forgetting how they pronounce it. It's based on the star Sirius, and so maybe they call it Syros. Um, so I'll just note Drummond mention the goals of Syros. There we go. So we have that. Oh, actually, that's. I'll put in, and their project what fallen. Okay, good. We got all kinds of. Um, we have a lot of fodder here. I still want to. I'll quickly just
Yeah, keep going.
cover this. So anyway, TRQP, as we already covered that. We just the key thing was because most of our we have a fewer number of task forces, most of the work's going on there. There were Sanko, Shannon, and I had been discussing the fact that we don't really need this meeting monthly now. We need it quarterly. And that there was no objection to moving it to quarterly due given the number of other meetings that we already intersecting on. Is that okay with the two of you that this meeting become quarterly?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's the right thing to do. We should be shifting to a kind of event driven notification kind of thing about updates and stuff, and then
Yeah,
piling in when there's something useful to discuss.
exactly. And keeping, I like the fact that not only have we got most of the work, going on in working groups, but in specific task forces that have organized to get that stuff done. Because I'm spending huge amount of time, on the decentralized trust graph working group stuff now, which we'll talk about separately when we talk. The last thing was because we did have about 15 minutes left, Daniel Hartman appeared, who wanted basically share something with the technical stack working group about the Carry Suite working group, which, as you know, is its own working group now. But that's actively moving along, but there's not a lot of cross communication. And he just attended so that he could share something. They're working at Provenant on something called open verifiable calling. It's basically, the poster child is verifiable credentials for phone calling, but because or no, for SMS. Well, SMS and phone calls, but because SMS is so lightweight, they can't actually use verifiable credentials. So they're using much more efficient carry messages. But what they've actually boiled it down to is they said for certain calls or certain callers, there's a bunch of evidence they consider. And he showed a screen. I took a screenshot of something he showed down here, which is this. If you can see it on the screen.
Yep.
This is from that page of the 13 things that can be considered commitment by OSP to an opinion about the reliability of the caller's CLID. I'm not exactly sure what the OSP, you probably know what these acronyms are, but in any case, you can see all the things. And because they want to compile all these things in a cryptographically verifiable way, not necessarily for immediate machine verifiability, but in a signed container, they came up with this thing as a dossier. Dossier is not a verifiable credential. It is an ACDC. It's an authentic chain data container, but it contains these 13 things. They're coming up with a spec for it, and what they can send is a hash and a URL, so that in the actual SMS they can send a hash of the dossier and a URL for accessing it and processing it when it needs to be. So he wanted to just make us aware that this is work the Carry Stack Working Group was working on,
Cool.
in case folks are interested. And there you have it.
That's cool.
There's
We
so go
sorry,
you go, Joe.
we did a little bit of work with well, we tried to promote the VLI model for various different things when the government was promoting a safe list or a white list of SMS senders here in Australia, and they obviously weren't ready for that sort of thing, but it
Right.
showed them that there was a lot of activity going on in the US specifically, and through the guys the Provenant guys that are doing it. It For SMS is sort of interesting. RCS, obviously, the more open protocol that helps, does is the SMS next gen sort of type of thing, would be more likely to take it on. But I'm sort of a bit concerned about putting,
I'm using
links
Joe and
into
I used to work.
SMSs. It's not really what we want to promote.
Joe and I used to work for a company whose main valuation was its work with SMS systems. It had a ridiculously high valuation because of providing SMS servers. But so we worked adjacent to telco industries quite a bit. And it strikes me that the telco are the providers of infrastructure that typically allows data packets to progress. So that the national broadband network that we have here in Australia and others are sort of supported by the telco operators. But the idea that we still use SMS and voice for me is absurd. Increasingly absurd. Why are we trying to make secure an archaic channel that was never intended to be for person-to-person communication? SMS was about alerting you to a voicemail. It's like surely just give them a choose a thing, give them a Signal account, give them a Telegram, give them a WhatsApp. They can make phone calls over this channel, right? It
Exactly.
it's odd that I know that there are many older people that maybe aren't probably going to move into that era and they maybe need a phone that has voice and SMS, but it'll be cheaper just to give them a better phone, right? Than to
Yeah, 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 I totally agree. I,
and I got
yeah,
a lot of admiration for the work of Provident, but I'm just feeling that they're putting the brutal expression is lipstick on a pig.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. It is interesting
Mm.
that, I mean, I haven't talked to Daniel. It's the first time he's been on a call in quite a while. That he, continues to work. I know that the one other conversation I had with him is that there are other innovations they're coming up with that are sort of going to other places that those carriers want to go, and that's the business they're after, is the best way I put it.
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
there was a realization we had way back in the 19 well, I guess the turn of the century. Who owns the customer is the prevalent question, and so the telcos still want to own the customer.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a data provision that they're providing bandwidth and it's Telegram or Signal or it's WhatsApp
Yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
then the telco doesn't know who the customer is. The
OTP. Yeah.
platform does, and that's
Yeah.
the tension, right? That's the tension that continues to exist. They want to own the customer, yet they're increasingly marginalized.
It's exactly right. That's the reality of it. All right. If you still have time, let's close
Yep.
this meeting and jump on uh,
Any other business?
yeah, any other business. We'll go to other business. I will ping the two of you Zoom room in Signal. How's that?
Cool. Thank
All
you.
right, you bet.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks.